The Scorpio is a fixed water sign, right? So fixed being consistent or stubborn due to doing something over and over and being in that routine and pattern. So due to that, someone sees you as a consistent individual in the higher octave. Lower octave, someone may see you as stubborn. See what I'm saying? So in the moon realm, this is emotionally. So reactions, responses, feelings. So the way that you react and respond, or you deal with emotions, is in a Scorpio way, in depth. So water is Scorpio, fixed is water, being so deep into the water, right? Because it's consistent or stubborn on an emotion, right? So it's so consistent on this feeling that they can tend to brood. A moon in Scorpio wants to as feels comfortable having power and control that ruled by Martian energy. So with that being said, the moon in Scorpio is plays out alike to a full moon in a way. Um, so the reason why I say that is because the moon in Taurus is exalted. So with that being said, it'd be in fall in Scorpio. So like I said, being ruled by Mars. So think about it. It's always a passionate way of feeling. Compared to where the moon is at home in Cancer, it's more of a initiating, like the moon in Cancer compared to the moon in Scorpio. Right. This is what I'm explaining. Is the moon in Cancer is more initiative upon an emotion. They're more likely to create a new way of feeling. The Scorpio is more stuck in an emotion. They're so deep into the emotions that they don't even know how to see clearly or feel clearly or be logical whenever they're actually feeling an emotion, whenever they're receiving, whenever they're reacting and responding, right? So with that being said, they could either be like a person with this in their natal chart could either be very confrontational, or or the way that they go about things is so unconfrontational because they've gone through so many confrontations they just don't want to deal with that anymore. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, with it the moon in the that's the moon in the natal chart, right? So it might be a person that kind of broods emotionally, an individual that's going to feel a certain type of way but not express it right away. You see what I'm saying? If they don't feel comfortable with you, if they don't feel like they have power and control over the emotional realm that they're participating in, they won't even really participate like that. You see what I'm saying? So that's the natal chart for an individual. You look at it in the transiting chart, then that would be a time to be well, okay, pardon me. Something one more part with the natal chart is this is also a transformative individual. So like I was saying with the Cancer, they initiate. With the Scorpio, they're fixed, right? It's like Cardinal initiates, fixed, kind of stays in the same kind of realm, like consistent, like I say. And due to that, they transform, right? So once the Scorpio feels an emotion, they're like, wait, I do the same thing. I make people feel the same exact way. I react and respond in the way that this individual just reacted and responded, or this individual is reacting and responding in a way that I would react and respond. Being so deep in the water, they can't get a breath of fresh air, right? So, with that being said, in the transiting chart, this is a time for transformation. This is a time for feeling in depth. This is a time for higher octave expressing your in depth emotions, lower octave brooding and staying to yourself and being stubborn to the point that you don't even want to express your own emotion. And due to you not expressing your own emotion, it ends up being something that's pent up. And then whenever somebody actually does talk about that aspect with you, it's a blow up. It's like a bomb just went off. For example, it's like whenever it's alike to whenever the moon's in Leo, because both fixed signs. So everything hit the fan in Leo, but everything is supposed to transform in Scorpio. So whatever emotion that you're like, wait, that's got to change. You see what I'm saying? And you don't change it. That's when the moon in Scorpio broods, because it's like, I know I should change something, but I don't feel like it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what the transiting chart. This is the time to transform your emotions. The way you react and respond, you want to transform that. You want to be, if you see yourself in a consistent way of feeling, upset or angry or deep into emotions, or like this chip on your shoulder energy, or like I say, this Martian energy, this Mars and the moon. You see what I'm saying? So it's it wants to have that power. You see what I mean? So if you don't have that power in your circumstance, and like I say power to mean like that control. As control is the better word for the Martian energy. So um it wants to transform, right? And it wants to be in control of their emotions. So they want to control the way that they transform, or control what becomes transformed, control which emotion. Um, like in the Scorpio categorizes, right? So that's just a thing. You know what I mean? They'll categorize emotions. They'll categorize people. They'll put you in a little box, and just your little box. That's the only way. You're the only person they react and respond that way to. You see what I'm saying? So that's with the moon. So you could look at that in any other alignment as well. So let's get to the video. The moon of Scorpio in the first house is a personal affair that is in depth and emotionally. So an individual feeling the personal affairs, personality, first impression. If you want to really get into it, like you can look at the first house as someone's actual features. You see what I'm saying? So this is a time that you're gonna feel in depth about your personality, your personal life, your what you're personally transforming, like your personal affairs. So with the Scorpio in the first house, this individual brings transformation at all times. So now either you higher octave feel comfortable transforming your personality, lower octave you want to brood and you want to stay in your own personal way of being, and you want to be stubborn. You don't want to change up, and you don't want to transform to adapt to what's best for you in your personal life. You see what I'm saying? So if you're able to transform and create that and react in this different way with the moon of Scorpio now, you're going to transform your way of personally being. This is that time to do that. Higher octave, lower octave, you don't want to transform at all. Or if you're kind of middle ground and you transformed a little bit of things, you haven't transformed everything, don't go too hard. And because this is like I said, the moon is Scorpio, it's like a difficult time to actually feel comfortable. You see what I'm saying? Kind of like a full moon energy. So the second house, this would be your values of your person, places, or things. So you look at this in the second house, the moon being a Scorpio in the second house, this would be valuing an in-depth emotion. So reacting or responding to an in-depth value. Pardon me. Reacting and responding, moon, the second house, value. So reacting and responding to your values. What do you want to transform? Should you be around should you value a different person, place, or thing, or an idea? You see what I mean? Is what you're emotionally reacting and responding to in your value realm now benefiting, or is it harming you? You see what I mean? So higher octave, you're on. You've already kind of transformed what you value, and you're like, oh, okay, well, what I was previously valuing, I don't really need that anymore, anyways. So then, boom, you've already on the path of transforming. So this is the time that you're gonna break the threshold and create that new habit that you want to create in your value realm. So you're gonna transform how you react and respond to people, transform how you react and respond to places that you go. You see what I mean? So like things that you value, you're going to be transforming. That's on the higher octave. Lower octave, you want to stay. You can say consistent and stubborn, and the things that you do value, and they aren't really accumulating anything for you in anyways. It's something that you need to shed at this time. That's the lower octave. So it's really just shedding those old values, and then whenever the Sag moon comes around, you can kind of see a new morality and say, oh, okay, this is how I should react and respond. So now we got the moon and Scorpio in the third house. This will be environment, like your whenever you walk out the door, your neighbors. You see what I mean? So kind of like your hood, like your third house is your hood. You see what I mean? So we look at the moon being here. Either you transform your environment, transform who you communicate with. You feel comfortable reacting and responding to to different individuals in your environment. You see what I mean? So you're able to adapt to the environment. So this is higher octave, feeling in depth about your environment and saying, okay, these individuals around me, I'm having these conversations are in depth and they actually are benefiting me. The conversations that I'm having are relevant, so to speak. The third house is a communication and thinking house. So whenever you're dealing with this, you want to higher octave, be able to react and respond to the things that you've transformed and talk about them. Or lower octave, you just want to keep all this to yourself and don't tell your environment about nothing. See what I mean? So the way that you would rectify this lower octave energy with the third house in Scorpio, hey, even if you got some dirty, nasty emotions, you got to express them to somebody in your environment. You see what I mean? Because you got to get that out to be able to accumulate new things. So that's not to say like, oh yeah, just if you're feeling like a piece of shit, just express it like you're a piece of shit. No, 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 no. I'm saying like, okay, you feel kind of bad about your day, this, and the third. Talk about it. You see what I mean? So like, just be a little bit more vocal, be a little bit more communicative, adapt to the environment a little bit more instead of just being like, oh, this is the environment I'm in. I gotta stay to myself. You see what I mean? Moon is Scorpio. So you react and respond to being so in depth in your environment that you can't even get a breath of fresh air. Air communication. You see what I'm saying? Fourth house. This would be your privacy, your home matters. This would be for the Leo rising. So at this time you're either higher octave. Well, let me break it down a little more. So the fourth house, like I say, is the privacy, home life, private emotions. So with that being said, on the higher octave, you feel comfortable transforming your emotions. You feel comfortable transforming what's private to you. You feel comfortable having a new power and control over the ways that you feel, the ways that you go about things emotionally in your heart space. So it's like higher octave, you can transform your heart and kind of get rid of that hate in your heart. You see what I'm saying? Lower octave, you like that hate in your heart. And you want to keep those private emotions to yourself. And the way that you express your heart is cold. You got a cold heart. You see what I mean? You don't want to transform nothing. So at this time, higher octave, you want to you can transform your heart and transform the emotions that you're dealing with. At a lower octave, you want to stay in that rut. You see what I mean? So the way to rectify that is to say, okay, well, are these emotions that I'm dealing with, are they actually benefiting me? Am I getting somewhere feeling this type of way? You see what I mean? So if you're not getting somewhere feeling this type of way privately, then okay, you need to transform that and create a way to be a little bit more in depth in your home. You see what I mean? So I can see how the Leo rising kind of stays to themselves in the home. Like it's that Scorpio like home. So like they want to have the power and control. So in their private matters, they don't want to feel like they're not the star of the show. You see what I mean? They don't want to feel like they're not in depth enough emotionally. You see what I mean? They want everything to be hunky dory. You see what I mean? In the fourth house. So it actually creates a difficult thing though, because the Scorpio creates that transformation. So you either want to transform who you call family. You see what I mean? How you emotionally feel about the ones close to you. You see what I'm saying? So like this is the time that if you're thinking about getting engaged and you guys been together this for a super long time, maybe you should make that family. You see what I mean? Another example of the higher octave would be, okay, we look at the Mercury going through Aquarius right now. So like thinking Mercury, this is left field, this is a tangent. But you think about Mercury being in Aquarius, this is a time to either think for the associates in your community or just be for the community. You see what I mean? So like either you're using the community mind to actually help you out and get you further with things, you see what I'm saying? Or you're on the lower octave of that and you're just all about the community. You see what I mean? You just want to get the benefits from your associates. You see what I mean? So like I say, this is the time that you want to transform your emotions privately. You see what I mean? So like what you're thinking is like, oh, okay, do I want to be a part of this group? Do I want to be a part of this group? Well, which group is going to benefit you more? Which emotion is going to actually help you out? You see what I mean? So this is the time with that fourth house being here. You think about it, that's a square to your seventh house. So the way that you relate and the way that you privately feel are at a square here. You see what I mean? So your thinking and your way of feeling is at a square. So which one do you want to go with? Do you want to go with your thoughts or do you want to go with your emotions? So like you can actually manifest more from the emotional realm. So I would recommend transforming the emotions instead of sticking with those outdated thoughts. You see what I mean? So then this is the fifth house. This would be the expression. Ways of, just pretty much expression. Higher octave, you feel comfortable transforming your expression. Lower octave, you just want to continue to express yourself the old way, and you don't want to change nothing. You see what I mean? You want to just brood because the way that you express yourself, like, people don't like that. People don't like that. Well, maybe you should change your expression. You see what I mean? Maybe you should transform that. Maybe you should be in a more in-depth way of expressing yourself and think like, well, all right, is this expression getting me anywhere? Like, just because I'm moody doesn't mean, okay, let me give you this. Just because you're moody doesn't give you the right to be a piece of shit in your expression. You see what I mean? The way that you express yourself, you don't gotta always be an asshole. Just because you don't got food in your belly don't mean you gotta be a dick. You see what I'm saying? Just because you don't got the Ferrari don't mean you can't express yourself in a nice way. You see what I'm saying? So this is the time to higher octave, you're transforming your expression to benefit yourself more. You see what I mean? You see how you make people feel in the in-depth realm and this, that, and the third. And it's like, wait, I'm making these people feel a certain type of way. Am I actually getting anywhere with making them feel a certain type of way? If you are higher octave than those emotions that you've transformed, then boom, you're able to higher octave express those what you've transformed. Lower octave, you don't want to express anything that you haven't transformed. You see what I mean? So maybe you've even transformed for the worse. So the lower octave is you're expressing toxicity. See what I'm saying? So the sixth house, this would be your routine, patterns, your health. So here, you're going to be able to transform your routine and pattern, higher octave. Lower octave, you want to stay in the same old, and you think like, I don't need to change nothing. Eventually, I'm going to accumulate what I need, this, that, and the third. That's not always necessarily true. Because maybe, for example, YouTube, people watch the videos at different times of the day. So if your audience doesn't really like tap in at the certain time that you're posting your video, the routine and pattern that you're using, you know what I'm saying, sixth house, the schedule that you put your video on, like say you put your video on for 2 in the morning, ain't too many people really on the YouTubes at 2 in the morning. You would think that maybe, all right, maybe more people are on like 8 at night or 10 o'clock at night or noon when they're on the lunch break. You see what I'm saying? Okay, like noon would be a good time, lunch break. So like this is the sixth house. Okay, for example, we'll use the YouTube example, right? You've been stubborn. You've been posting your videos just whenever you make them. This, that, and the third. Fuck it. You see what I mean? That's your routine and pattern that you've created. Okay, I made a video. Let's put it up. Or you think like, oh, I want to have my videos going up at a time that nobody else is really putting their videos up. This, that, and the third. I want to be exclusive. You see what I mean? This would be a time to say like, wait, just because I feel like this is the best way to go about things. You see what I'm saying? Just because I react and respond to being like, oh, yeah, this is a feeling that nobody else is going to feel this time. You see what I mean? This is something special, this, that, and the third. This routine and pattern that I'm creating, it has me feeling, like sixth house, you're in depth emotionally. So with this being said, either you have the routine and be like, wait, let me look at my analytics. Let me look at the details, sixth house. Let me look at the details of what I really got going on. Okay, my viewers are on it at noon. Everybody, they probably got a lunch break. Okay, well, let me set my video for noon instead of 2 in the morning. Real simple. Higher octave, you transformed your time to schedule the video. Lower octave, you said, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? What I do is what I do. People better appreciate it. That ain't always the right way to go about it. You see what I'm saying? This is a time to, sixth house, you look at the sixth house birth Virgo, this is a time to kind of transform what you're adapting to. You know what I mean? So like, you have a certain schedule, so don't switch up your schedule if it's benefiting you. Maybe transform maybe your health pattern. You see what I mean? If that's the case. There's going to be a certain space that you want to transform though, either in your routine and pattern, your health, or the details of your life. One of the three. So with the seventh house, oh, well, my bad. To rectify the sixth house, like I say, you just want to, look at what you're actually putting on a schedule. Look at what you're actually doing to your body and say, oh, is this benefiting me? Yes or no? And to rectify that, it would be to put better details on this, use better detail. Use more discernment kind of thing. The seventh house, this would be relating, communicating, thinking. So this would be a time of transforming your relationship and saying, okay, I feel comfortable giving my partner my actual feeling upon things, like my actual in-depth feeling. I'm ready to transform. show them everything I got. You see what I mean? Or if you're thinking about just relating in general, this is the time to transform your way of relating. So it's a time to be in power and control, higher octave, of your relations and the way you relate. Lower octave, you're not in control of the way you relate. It's toxic. You see what I mean? The the way that you transform things is in a negative way of relating. So like you don't actually relate with anybody. You just say, "Oh, this is how I feel, and you better accept that. This is the way I relate." You see what I mean? That ain't always gonna work. A little Taurus rising, a little Taurus rising. So if you're on that lower octave, you want to transform the way that you relate, and to do that, you want to think about like, okay, how do I make people feel whenever I do say this, or whenever I do have this state of mind and this thought pattern? Does it actually get me anywhere? Does it actually benefit my relationship? So higher octave, you want to transform that to benefit your relationship. Lower octave, you don't want to transform nothing, and you're okay with the way that you relate, and you say like, oh, I may be getting worse and worse, but hey, I'm transforming. You know what I mean? Like, no, just that ain't how it works. You want to use the alignments to actually better your life. You see what I'm saying? To actually know what's coming, so you can say, oh, all right, this is what I could focus on. I know this is. I knew this was coming. You see what I mean? In the eighth house, this would be the behind the scenes, secrets, sacred matters, um, internal passions. So this is the time to higher octave transform the way that you relate behind the scenes. Transform what you do when nobody else is looking. Transform the way that you get in depth with your partner, or whenever nobody else sees you, the way that you relate to your partner. You see what I mean? This would be that eighth house nature. Behind closed doors. You see what I'm saying? So higher octave, you want to transform what you got going on behind the scenes, and it's actually benefiting you. You see what I mean? So like, what you got going on behind the scenes, other people can say like, there's this mystique about this individual. It's like they got something going on behind the scenes. It must be big time. You see what I mean? So with the higher octave, you're able to express what you got going on behind the scenes. So it's like you feel comfortable reacting and responding to what you got going on behind the scenes and transforming what you have going on behind the scenes. So with that being said, you're able to see, okay, which emotions am I in depth? Am I utilizing when I'm in this in depth nature and this behind the scenes nature? And do I need to transform them to actually have a better thing going on behind the scenes to actually better my mind or better my state of mind? Lower octave, what you got going on behind the scenes, you don't want to change it. You see what I mean? You don't want to feel in depth about what you have going on behind the scenes. You don't want to think too much about. You don't want to feel too much about it. Pardon me. So to rectify this would be like, hey, what you're doing behind the scenes, you got to transform that. Simple as that. And only you know what you got going on behind the scenes. Only you know what's going on in your eighth house. That's why it's the eighth house. You dig what I'm saying? So higher octave, you transform what's going on behind the scenes. Lower octave, just want to stay the same. You think what you got going on behind the scenes is just hunky-dory. Hey, you're behind the scenes is you're behind the scenes. It's up to you. See what I'm saying? But all I could say is higher octave, you want to transform what's going on behind the scenes. Lower octave, you just stuck in the rut. You want to brood. You want to brood behind the scenes. You just want to be mad by yourself. Ninth house, this would be your knowledge, wisdom, experience, ways of traveling in a reality, like a vehicle or transportation, or in the mind, so traveling with an idea. So this would be a time of wanting to transform or reacting and responding to transformation in your knowledge and wisdom, in your ways of traveling, in your ways of traveling in the mind. So this would be a time to transform your ideas. This would be a time to transform the mind that you're actually using. Like the environment that has created that mind, and you want to be able to decipher the environment to say like, wait, is this even the right way of is this even the right morality in this environment? Because it's actually going to benefit me. So higher octave, you're able to transform your knowledge and wisdom and what benefits you in that realm and your ways of transportation. In the lower octave, you feel uncomfortable transforming your knowledge and wisdom. So like to say this would be a dogmatic individual, for example. Higher octave, they're able to get out of their religion and say, oh, there's a great spirit. It's not just what's been created in my mind as this language and using the language, utilizing the language to use primitive words. That would be on the higher octave for the ninth house. The lower octave would be, well, we're men and we created English, but God wrote it. You know what I mean? Type shit. That's the lower octave. So lower octave, you with that, you want to rectify your knowledge and wisdom and get a little bit more wise. You see what I'm saying? Get up on your esoteric game for real. That's what you got to do in the ninth house. This would be a time to transform your knowledge and wisdom. So then the 10th house, this is your status, your blueprint. Way of being a scene, like you think about like a social media profile, that's like your 10th house in a way. Like what you're promoting. So then this higher octave, you would feel comfortable reacting and responding to transformation of your status. This would be a time that, okay, my status isn't really benefiting me. Well, what could I change to actually get me to that next echelon? You see what I mean? Like get me to the next part of the ladder scale. So, for example, let's say that, like I'm trying to think of like something that would X another thing out. Like you do this, so this other thing can't work. Let's just put it like this. Okay, so your status is a cook. You cook for a living, this, that, and the third. But you want to transform your status because now you want to become a business owner. You don't want to just work for somebody else. So with this being said, now you're going to go and ask for a managerial position instead of a chef job, because now you actually want to say like, well, how does the business actually run? So that way, whenever I have my own business, I'm able to actually know what to do in my blueprint. I actually know how to go about a circumstance whenever this occurs or that occurs. So the higher octave, you're okay with going from a status of a chef to, like I say, getting on that next echelon and becoming that manager. So that way you can actually know how the real restaurant works and know how to actually keep it going. You see what I mean? So have that as your new status, and then eventually you're going to transform into that business owner, and that'll be your even newer status. So it's like using that phoenix energy to go from the worker to the owner. So I mean that's the higher octave. The lower octave is you feel uncomfortable reacting and responding to transformation in your status. So with this being said, you're thinking, you know what? My bills are getting paid. I'm happy. This, and the third. Well, I mean, I guess lower octave, if you're happy, that's cool. You see what I mean? That's not really a lower octave aspect. If you think about it, like the lower octave would be a status that doesn't transform, a status that stays the same. So, like, for example, a status of a bum would be like a dude that just goes out in the corner every single day and just holds out the coin jar. That's a status that's fucked up, and you should transform that status. You see what I mean? Please do something for this world and help change the world with us. You see what I'm saying? Relax, Rico. My cat meowing at me and shit. I was like, hey, I'll get a little pet so you can chill out. But yeah, okay. Then the 11th house. Oh yeah, to rectify that, do you want to actually have a so like say use the bum on the corner, get you a goddamn job application and fucking start working, get your asses fucking places to live, so your ass ain't dying in the winter and shit. And then if you a little bit above that and you have a job, or if you're working towards being that business owner, then just see the proper steps to transform that. So this is the time to see your status and see what needs to be transformed to get you to that next space you want to be in that 10th house, in that career path. So like for example, you'd be transforming your career status, higher octave, lower octave, you feel you don't want to transform shit. 11th house, this would be your associates, your humanitarian association, your group setting, being in the public eye. So this would be a time that you want to transform your associates, higher octave. This is a time that, okay, these past people around me, this past group around me, they might have benefited me, but this other group is going to benefit me way more. You see what I'm saying? So like, you want to transform that to be able to be a part of this group to actually get you more connections. Connections are everything. You see what I'm saying? And then on the lower octave, you feel uncomfortable transforming your associates and things that you are known for in the public eye, in public spaces. You see what I mean? So You just want to keep on going to the same place in the same group, even though they don't connect you to shit. You see what I mean? So this is the time to brood in your group, and you would say like, oh, well, this is just my group right now. Eventually, they'll go to where I want them to go. You see what I mean? Instead of just transforming your associate and saying like, you know what, these associates ain't right for me. Instead of just yelling at everybody and telling them they ain't shit, let's go to somebody that is something, good for me, beneficial to me. And that's how you would rectify it in the lower octave of the 11th house, with the moon in Scorpio. So then 12th house. This would be the dreams, illusions, and nightmares. So dreams, illusions, and nightmares. Moon, reaction and responses. Scorpio, death, transformation, rebirth, power, control, emotions. So with that being said, you're going to higher octave feel comfortable, moon, reacting and responding to the transforming your dream, illusion, and nightmare, saying like, oh man, higher octave, you know what? This might be a scary circumstance, but I'm going to achieve my dream. I'm going to transform my way of imagining, so to speak. I'm going to say like, you know what? I can dream free. You see what I mean? So like, if you dream free, you don't have anything opposing you whenever you actually are using your imagination and creating the conception, well, conceiving what your idea is or your dream that you want to achieve is. So the low, like I said, so higher octave, you're able to transform the way that you 12th house feel. 12th house is a water house, so how you feel about your dreams, illusions, and nightmares. So higher octave, you want to transform your dreams. And say like, oh, okay, this dream will get me here, but you know what? If I transform this dream here, and then, I actually see a whole nother space to it if I transform it in that way. Lower octave, you feel uncomfortable reacting and responding to the dreams, illusions, and nightmares and transforming these. So this is a time that you're in the illusion and you believe that the illusion is the most beautiful dream, but it's really showing in reality about how you feel about it. You really don't actually feel like you have power and control of it. So this is a time that you brood. So it's like, you know what? Oh, I haven't even like this is for the Sag rising. Scorpio in the 12th house. Pardon me. So this would be a time that for the Sag dreams, illusions, and nightmares, they're like, dang, like, I don't know if I'll be able to be as wise with these dreams. I don't know if I'll be able to actually get my knowledge and wisdom out there. You see what I mean? So this is the time you say, you know what? No, I believe in my dream. Boom, we going for it. Go. You're going for your dream. You're going for that. You see what I mean? That's that Phoenix energy of like, you know what? I want to go from the worker to the boss. I want to own this shit. You see what I mean? That's that 12th house energy of transformating it. So then that lower octave, you want to brood and say like I say that, oh, this dream is the shit, but I don't actually feel like anybody else is reacting and responding in a good way to it. This dream, it's not an illusion. You see what I mean? I don't want to transform nothing about it because this is my dream. You see what I mean? It's like you're being stubborn in it. So with the lower octave, you don't want to be so stubborn and say like, you know what? I want to be open to a different way of dreaming. I might be in an illusion, but you know what I'm saying? We're gonna work with this. And next time the moon comes around in Scorpio, do I feel like I can react and respond to my dream? Have I transformed it from the last time? And this will be the proof in the pudding this next time I come around. But right now, you just want to deal with what you can, control with what you can, and control that illusion and say, you know what? Hey, I'm in an illusion now, but I'm creating a dream from this illusion. And that, boom, once you create a dream from the illusion, you say, like, oh, wait, I see it this way. But there's so many people that see it this way. I could actually use that. Boom. Now you got that higher octave. You're gone. You take 3-5 to the tropic. Go. But yeah, much love and holla back at me. As everyone's you and I verse. Peace out. We did the moon is Scorpio, the 12th house. We broke down the little the natal chart in the beginning. We broke down the transit chart. So you can holla at me for a reading on any moon alignments, any sun alignments. I got all kinds of things for y'all. Peace and love.